I'm Crystal-Dior.
And today we're talking about life after college.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
The struggle, because the struggle was so real.
Listen, the things they don't tell you.
Okay, things they don't tell you.
Lord.
Let's talk about the things they do tell you.
And then the things they don't.
And then things that they should tell you.
I agree.
The things that they lie about.
Yes, they be lying. Okay? But let's do our one-liners.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to go first?
All right. So, life after college is like making a fine wine. First, you get your grapes crushed. Then eventually you'll taste sweet success.
Oh my gosh. Not crushed. Right?
Oh, yes. Life after college is, to sum it up, crushed grapes.
Oh my Lord. Oh, okay. So for me, college was filled with more fun than classes, but it made me who I am.
Okay. So what was you doing? You was out. First of all, for those of you who don't know, we went to the same college together.
That's how we met.
We went to CSUN in Northridge, California.
Yes.
Which is a party school.
I wasn't even partying. I just wasn't in class.
What were you doing?
Like, I was sleeping in.
Oh.
Napping, snacking. I was at Bible study.
That's ridiculous.
I was hanging around the yard. I was working. I think I went to even one party. I didn't even go to one party. I don't even remember going to one.
What?
I don't remember going to one.
Not even a kickback at a dorm kickback? What? How is that possible? How do you make it through CSUN without going to a party? I don't know.
When people would tell me it was a party school, I was like, really? I never understood when people said that.
But you did Matador nights, right?
Once.
But
I worked it. I was working with the USU. Girl. So I was working Matador nights. Outside of my first semester there, I was working Matador nights. And then I joined the Christian sorority. I was in Bible study and I worked. And then I never lived on campus. Never. Even freshman year. I was in an apartment.
Okay, that has a lot to do with it. But when I moved off campus my senior year, we had hella parties.
Because y'all were already partying from being on campus.
I had party friends. My friends was the partying friends. I was the one that was like, no, I'm going to stay in this weekend. But if I wanted to, I could have party every weekend.
No, I never lived on campus because I waited too long to sign up for the dorm. So I was always in an apartment.
It was my clique. I had a party clique.
No, we weren't.
Okay.
Nope.
So you was having fun napping. I was having fun clubbing.
I really wasn't. But let's jump into who said that.
Yes.
The quote is, education is the key to unlocking the world, a passport to freedom.
Okay. Hint.
It's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's an older woman.
Okay. Like anybody? Viola Davis?
She has a lot of degrees. I think she has a doctorate, but I don't know if they were all earned. I think she has one honorary doctorate and the rest of her degrees were earned. She has started from the bottom of her career. Literally, she's like, started from the bottom, now I'm here. Like, that's who should have wrote that song. Like, she literally started from the bottom and literally became like a name that everyone knows.
Iyanla Vanzant?
Nope. She employs her.
Oprah.
Winfrey said that. It's a passport to freedom.
In a way.
I think it is. Now, I think the way you educate yourself is not what she's talking about.
Okay.
But education itself.
Yes.
Being ignorant gets you nowhere.
So, it gives you, blissful ignorance is also real. It gets you in La La Land is what it gets you.
You can be in La La Land.
Mm-hmm.
As long as, like, if you're ignorant, you must have a trust fund. You can't, if you don't have no trust fund, you cannot afford to be ignorant.
Correct. If you don't got those coins stacked up from family or whatever,
you need to educate yourself.
Definitely not the avenue you want to take.
No, by any means, educate yourself.
Yes.
But which leads us to our topic of the day: life after college. Do you need college? Life before college? I don't know. But I wanted to read a story time.
Yes.
So, and then we could talk about the story time because I feel like, I mean, we have our own story from, life. But we wanted to make sure we're helping someone who is out there. So let's jump to the story. So how did your life change after college was the title of this letter. So it goes, I'm a college student and I'm pretty miserable here. I'm curious about what life has in store after college. Sometimes I feel motivated to keep going and complete college thinking that life will get better once I'm done with college. And I get to a point, and when I get to that point, I need to keep myself moving right now. Well, okay, well, she wrote that funny. But on some days, I start questioning if things will really get better. What if I put efforts towards completing college, but it turns out that life later on is in fact worse than this? Initially, I wanted to ask if you felt miserable in college too. Then did life get better after it? But then I thought to myself, and it might be more insightful to ask for a more diverse response. Okay, so that's...
So it sounds to me like they're saying their experience is that they are miserable in college, and they're wanting to know if college gets better afterwards.
Right.
In my experience, I had a blast in college, and it was terrible afterwards.
Yes. I enjoyed college, and I think once I left, I realized how much I enjoyed it. You know, I like hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
College is like being on practice mode of life, right?
Okay.
Like you have this excuse of I'm still a student. So you're able to kind of do adult things with the safety net of I'm still a student.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Like internships, that's pretty much what that is. Going to the corporate world, if you screw up, people kind of give you grace because you're a student. Yes. Living on your own, you kind of have a test trial with that where the government will kind of help you out or your parents will kind of help you out. Or maybe you're one of those who have to work your way through it no matter what. But it's kind of a test trial of adulthood in a lot of ways. I think college is more than just the education that you get. It's the experience that you get.
Absolutely.
Being around other people, the connections you made, the figuring out how to be a little bit more independent. I can't imagine if I went straight from my parents' house to the ghetto adulthood that I'm doing right now. I cannot imagine.
Right. I mean,
like yeah, I needed college to kind of
balance me out. Yeah.
Because I did a lot of
acclimate me to the world and responsibilities. Yes.
Yeah. So I think if she's struggling now, whoever, I guess it's a she. It might not be a she. It might be a he. If you're struggling right now, does life get better? I think it can, depending on what you decide, because it's up to you. If you're going to go into life after college thinking everything's going to be horrible, it will be. But I think college does give you a lot if you utilize what it gives you. If you take full advantage of what that experience is, I think, yeah, it absolutely can be. I would challenge her to find out why she's so miserable. Is it the college that she's at? Maybe she's not in a good fit.
Yeah, or the major you chose.
The major you chose.
What is it about it?
That's making it so horrible? Because every school is not created equal.
Not at all.
You know, like our school was great. It was also a commuter school. So I know some people probably didn't have the same experience that we had. I didn't live on campus, but I was close enough. Some people literally commuted back and forth from LA or wherever. So they probably had a whole different experience than we did. But then there's people like my sister, she went to Howard. And it was like the movies. You know what I mean?
I know. I wish I could have went to HBCU.
But it was also like the news where some stuff be going on. You're like, come on, black people. Right?
Like what?
Like the whole graduation thing recently.
What happened with that?
They like messed up and they wouldn't let people into the graduation. So then people were rioting outside. The windows broke. But that's the HBCU. Every person who I know who graduated from HBCU says they expect a certain amount of ridiculousness.
Really?
When it comes to administration. Like, even like the guy who I was previously dating, he went to one and like they dropped his classes one day because it was just a mistake. Oh, sorry. Like it was just stuff like that. It's just,
oh, that's nuts.
You know, you love our people, but sometimes we like,
it's like, yeah, when it's a lot of us in a workplace, it'd be like, what is actually going on?
Yeah.
Like, so people is talking at the desk, eating at the desk, not paying attention, loud let me not.
But it's just a part of the experience. I think you expect a little bit of that. So yeah, some people have that experience, and I have a cousin who went to Howard and hated it. It was
my friend's brother went to Howard and he had a terrible experience.
So it's not so you have to find a school that fits you.
Yeah.
College tour is important because you want to kind of see like, will I fit in here?
Yeah.
Is this school too ratch for me? Or is this school too white for me?
Exactly. Or too boring.
PWIs, I've worked with them and I couldn't have imagined not seeing anyone like me. And I didn't even see many at CSUN.
I felt there wasn't a lot, but there's always a small group where you come together and you communicate, you commune often.
Yes.
I've worked at a PWI before. I went to a PWI and even though it was not an HBCU, I felt like I was.
Because everyone kind of bonded together.
Because we were always together.
Yeah. I even felt that way at CSUN. Like I felt like all my friends, I had like one or two friends who weren't black, but most of the people who I saw every day were black because we kind of, like you said, we hung together. Everyone hung together. We did stuff together. We did whatever we did it together. We kind of stuck. But when I actually went to class, it would be like me and one other person.
Right.
So, you know, but it was a huge school, but it felt small because we made it feel like community. But if you don't find that, or if you're a transfer student, that's sometimes harder too. Like if you come in your junior year, it's sometimes harder to still.
It's different. You're going to have a different experience than somebody who goes to freshman orientation. Right. You have your friends all the way through freshman to graduation.
It's different. So I would want to know what about your college experience is making it so bad. Because I do think once you graduate and you're able to make your life whatever you want it to be, it can be better.
Yeah.
There are more responsibilities, which can be ghetto.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't always have that cushion of making little dumb mistakes because you're a student, because now you're not a student, right? So you're more expected of you.
Exactly. You don't have you don't have that cushion. Maybe you have a grace period for a year or so after college where it's like you spend all your money and you need some help for food and things like that. But after that, it's like you can only do that so many times where it's like, oh, you got to get it together.
Get it together. So yes, I think it will get better.
Stay in college one more year.
Just finish.
Give yourself some time.
And I always I used to be an admissions counselor, and I would talk to students who wanted to drop out, and they already have student loans. So I'm like, now you're making a bad decision because now you're going to stop, have to pay those loans back, and you don't even have a degree.
Right, and you is it still only 6 months to pay it back after you graduate? Yeah,
but you don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, at least if you finish a degree.
Oh, right. You have a degree. Exactly.
You have a degree, and they can never take that degree from you.
Right.
You can never pay a dime of that loan back. They cannot repo your degree. Okay? Your degree is always your degree. No one can ever take it from you.
As long as you go to an accredited university.
Yes, go to an accredited university. But you know what I mean? Like, while you'll take out a loan on a car, and if you miss 2 notes, car's gone. They have nothing to show to prove that you ever had that car.
Right.
Right. But a degree,
you got a couple Instagram pics.
Yeah, it's always yours. So if you're this far in, finish. Because at this point, you've paid enough to where you at least want to feel like you finish and you have something that no one can take from you. While if you stop now, all you'll have is debt. So go ahead and do that.
Yes.
Finish is my suggestion to you.
So let's get into what's life like after college, because she's afraid if she's going to be miserable after college if she's so miserable in college.
Right.
So let's first talk about study expectations. Do your expectations match reality?
Right.
What do you expect to happen when you graduate? Obviously, for me, I expected to come out and get a job
right away,
because everybody was like, you know, when you have a bachelor's degree, when you get a degree, then things open up for you. But what they didn't tell us is that the world was on fire when we were in college, and we were coming out competing with people with PhDs and master's degrees.
That's still
for entry-level jobs. Yes. Yeah. So it's like, that is something you should have prepared people for. There should have been a whole symposium about it, honestly, about coming to this job fair where we're going to help you do something in the gap between getting a job or how to communicate your skill set so you can get a job. Because it was definitely a hot mess.
Yeah. I also think that whatever we're majoring in, that's what we're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
We think that's what we're going to actually do.
I actually heard a lot of people tell me, like, you know, don't be so caught up on, like, the thing that you major in. Like, you made a lot. I heard a lot of people didn't end up working in what they got a major in. But my mom was so pressed on that. She's like, you did a degree in journalism and you're not even doing that.
No one.
And I'm like, Mom, you don't know this, but nobody does this.
No, it says 27% of graduates work in a job related to their major after their first year. Only 27%.
Right.
I remember I worked at NBC Universal and I got to do an interview with the president at the time. And his major was like art history. Nothing to do with business, nothing to do with entertainment industry, nothing to do with media, nothing to do with none of it. Art history. So it's like, it doesn't matter, but it does matter. So the bigger thing is finish.
Right.
Because that's just sometimes, although it shouldn't matter, it's sometimes the height requirement for a ride, right?
Right.
That's sometimes what it is. But
I think more so these days, it's meant for you for joining a sorority or fraternity, getting those business connections, networking is a huge benefit of going to college. And what was the other thing you said? You just said something.
It's like the entry, like the height requirement.
I forgot what I was going to say. We move on.
But like even the networking part, 90% of the people who are in my life right now, I met in college.
Yes. All of my close friends are from college.
I met in college.
I'm trying to think. And then family members. And I went to college with my cousin. So we're really close.
It's like, yeah. I don't know if I have very many. I want to say 100%, but I'm sure there's some friends out there that I met in another way.
Oh, I do have friends that I met after college in jobs, or at when I worked at the PWI I was talking about. I have a lot of friends from there, but anybody before college, I don't really talk to unless they're family.
Yeah, same here. So it is a huge networking. Like more than half of the jobs that I've gotten from a networking connection that I got through college. So that alone. But I mean, also, I don't want to downplay like the education part of it because I've met some people and I could tell they didn't go to college.
What do you mean?
Like they'll write me an email and I'm like,
now some people can go to college and they still don't know how to articulate themselves. That is me sometimes.
But like some writing stuff, I'm just like, we know that. That was like,
I think, but then there's people who don't go to college and they're extremely successful.
Right.
And they
so it's more the education part of it. Like,
yes, I remember what I was going to say now. The going back to what college being a high requirement, where it's like it's something that is good to get you at this certain income level for one, or just show that you have the discipline to think in a certain way. But the thing that I see people doing a lot is after they graduate college, like my husband, he has a degree in computer science, but he went to this like coding boot camp for 3 or so months.
I've heard about those.
Yeah, and that is what propelled him to get a job at Google. Because he did something that was fresh and up to date. The stuff that you learn in school is outdated.
They wrote this curriculum years ago. These professors have not worked in the field in years.
Yes. So doing things in like certifications, all that stuff, I think can go a lot further because it actually gives you the skill set. Yeah. I have another someone I knew whose husband is a hedge fund manager, but he doesn't have an MBA. He has a bachelor's in business, and he did a certification of some kind. And we got to that point where he makes a grip of money. Yeah. You know,
but that's still like you educating yourself. And I think that's more of where it's at. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money without degrees. A lot of people, but you have to figure out what type of person you are. Okay. If you're not a disciplined person, if you're not someone who is willing to kind of start at the bottom and work your way up, then maybe school is better because it gives you structure. Yeah. If you're not trying to be an entrepreneur at all, then school is probably an easier route for you to just get a job and have a decent pay
and just work your way up the corporate ladder.
But if you are disciplined, you're like, no, I'll educate myself. I'll learn this on my own. I'll do a certificate program or I'll do a boot camp. Do that. Like that's perfectly fine too.
Those work so good for me, and especially like these self-paced info. What is it called? Infopreneur type courses, where it's a professional who has this course that you're able to follow along and learn how to do this specific thing or have access to something is really helpful. I learned the best that way because it's something that is short and it gives you everything to apply it.
That's good.
So yeah, I love those things.
And like the next question, is the money worth it? So the amount that you put into whatever you pay for university, are you going to get it back? Yes and no. It depends on what career path you're in. If you're looking to be in the arts, unless you become a huge star, probably not. You know what I mean? But like some people who do like business or finance, or if you become a lawyer or a doctor or things like that, then it can feel worth it. I mean, there's a lot of free ways to pay for education. Like I know a lot of people who got scholarships and they didn't pay a dime. Yeah. Right. So it depends on how much effort you put towards it. College doesn't have to mean debt. It depends on how you prepare yourself for college. I think that's more of where it's at. So I think college is worth it. I don't regret college at all. I just wish I was more informed about the money part of it. I wish I understood money better when I started taking out loans. Yeah. I didn't quite understand how money worked You know, like I knew I had to pay it back, but I didn't quite get it.
I wish I would have understood budgeting for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and like what is necessary to take.
Yeah.
Not just take
the max.
The max.
Which is what I did.
Exactly.
Every semester.
And then how to actually like calculate your expenses from your tuition to your cost for housing. If I didn't live on campus, I would have saved money.
Yeah, campus got expensive.
It was so expensive.
And then
also having meal plans and stuff like that.
It was pricey. They get you.
I didn't, and I barely ate the meal plan. I was always eating at McDonald's and stuff or something like that. So it would have been nice to have that ahead of time. But I mean, a lot of people go in with that. It's just, I was first generation college student, and budgeting was not something that was taught in my household, or money management. So it's definitely something that would have took me a lot further, and I wouldn't have this debt that I had now if it wasn't for that.
No, I think that's more of it. I think we sometimes blame college for putting us in all this debt, but I sometimes think it's just our lack of no one telling us, no one teaching us, and us knowing how to do it right. Because when I tell you, every time I see the incoming classes and they're like full rides, I'm like, why didn't I apply for more scholarships? I didn't even apply for that many.
Yeah. Well, I didn't feel confident enough. I got into TC Sun through an EOP program. Okay. So I barely scraped by.
I understand. Me too.
So it's like if it hadn't have been for my high school counselor making me complete that, I would not have went to a 4-year college. I probably would have did a 2-year college. But then I was always, when I thought about it, I was afraid to do a 2-year college because I felt like I would get stuck in my hometown and I would never leave. Yeah. So I jumped on the chance to go to the 4-year college as soon as I could. And I don't regret it. Even though there's debt there, I don't regret it.
Yeah. And my sister hates when I say this, but I have no plans on paying that back. Now, I don't. Zero plans. What? Now, I don't know who's going to pay it.
How do you know? Well, this podcast is going to pay it.
Somebody going to pay it, but I am not. Like, I feel like, I don't know why. Like, y'all, when it comes to me and random things I have faith in, that's when I'm like, when I bought my house, I had no money. I was broke as a joke. And I was like, I'm buying a house. Like, how? I don't know. And I did. That's how I feel.
I love it.
When it comes to these loans. My sister gets so mad. I was like, I'm in good standing, though. I keep my stuff updated. It's all green because whenever the government decides they're paying it, I need to be ready. But I ain't.
Well, did you check your email? Because Biden is supposed to be doing something.
He didn't forgive enough. Okay. I had too much. I think they did remove $10,000, I think. But one of my friends got her. She didn't owe that much. And she got a letter she doesn't owe anything now.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I don't even know how to check that.
I be staying on top.
How did you check it?
I just go into like your federal student aid website.
Oh, okay. I stay away from that website. If I see anything, there's this lady at my church. Her and her husband. They both got their master's degrees together in social work. And then they got in a lot of debt. Okay. And like last year, I was at church visiting in Cali, and she was just like this running laps around the church. And social work is not the degree you want to get in a lot of debt for.
Yeah, and it was expensive. She said like her and her husband are both in like hundreds of thousands, like over $200,000 in debt. Each of them. So that's, as a couple, that's like $500,000.
Yeah.
So one day I was at church. She's running a lap around the church, and she got up and she was like, "Y'all don't understand why I'm running this lap. If I were to tell y'all all our loans were forgiven, you wouldn't believe me."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?" So after church, I have to ask. I'm like, "How in the world?" She randomly applied for this loan forgiveness something a year ago, 2 years ago. Really? Didn't think anything about it. One day, her and her husband logged into their thing, gone.
Girl, that makes me want to get up and shout and run right now. Listen. It's like, Jesus, me too, Lord.
And it's so funny because not everyone at the church has been in college, so they didn't quite understand how big of a deal. Because when she told me that, I was like,
what? We running together. Let that blessing fall on me.
What? Now, she did work in like public service. I know I have to do with that.
Yeah.
But listen.
Say even right now, you want to say, okay, you don't want to pay a dime or whatever. If you become a teacher, if you do anything for
10 years,
yes,
yep, I'm part of that. I just don't work for a nonprofit right now.
Okay, my friend, she did that. She paid on it and worked at a university for 10 years. Done.
I should have done it. I had like 5 years. I need to go work somewhere and be poor for 5 more years. So that's pretty much what you're doing.
Well, you can listen. This is what the ideal scenario would be, that the podcast is being fruitful.
Yes, and I can go work at the university.
Go work whenever you want,
yes.
just to pay the loans off. Or if it's doing that, they just pay for it and you don't have to do that. You just go on vacation.
But I don't want to pay it.
Why don't you want to pay it?
Because I feel, this is how I feel.
Okay.
I feel like
hot take.
That's the least they could do. The government. That's the least they could do is give me an education. But that's a whole nother race story that we ain't gonna get into. But I just like that's the least they could do. So I'm gonna get my restitution.
You talking about reparations?
Reparations.
You talking about reparations?
I'm about to get my reparations. They don't know it yet. But I mean, I am in good standing though. Do not just ignore it, guys. Like, please do not let your loans go into forbearance because it stops you from doing everything. So I always, every year, nope, can't pay it this year. I give them some excuse and they take it and I don't do it. But anyway, it's gonna get paid for. And I cannot wait to come on here and tell y'all.
Listen, I already have my freedom testimony written out. I'm like, this is, you know how you say visualize and manifest?
That's one of mine.
I have written down like what I want my testimony to be once this frugal season, the financial season we're in comes to an end.
I understand, girl.
Woo!
So is it worth it? It depends on you and what you do with your degree after. Depends on what your major is. There's a lot of things that it depends on. Like if you're a dance major, it depends. It all depends. Right? But be wise with your loans. Do not just take out the max.
Right.
Give you the max. And if you can get scholarships, some of them are like, no one's even applying. So if you apply, you'll just get it because you applied.
And don't be afraid to apply for something just because it's small. Get in the habit. Get into this. Don't worry about rejection. Just apply. To as many as you can. Just as much as you can.
Yeah. Now there's ChatGPT that can write the thing for you. Back then we had to write them things ourselves.
That would have been amazing.
Now I remember struggling to try to think of something to.
Exactly. And I'm a much better writer now than I was then. I was a struggle bus writer for sure back then.
Yeah. But I want to share. On the subject of if it's worth it, there are a lot of celebrities who got their education after becoming famous.
Yes.
Right? So for them, it wasn't about the money. It was about them wanting to get a degree and wanting to have the education. So Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
And it wasn't honorary. He went to school. Okay. He was so dedicated. I used to work at University of Phoenix. That's where he graduated. Aww. He wanted his whole program to be in person. He didn't want to do remote. That's how dedicated he was. And so for some reason they couldn't just do that for him. Like all his classes couldn't be that way. So he paid for 5 or 10 of his friends to also get the same degree as him and be in his cohort so that the school would see that it was worth it to have the whole program.
What program was it?
Business, something with business.
Okay. I love that.
So
I wonder why he chose University of Phoenix though.
I think the flexibility.
Are they still in school? Okay.
They're accredited.
Okay.
They weren't one of them. They're accredited. And they give you, although it's a for-profit school, what I could say is working there for as long as I did and watching how they do things, they're hiring the top professors. They have Harvard people teaching classes. So you're getting a good education and they make it, I don't think it's because I used to tell students who are 18, go to college, go get the experience because you need more than the education. You need to grow up.
Yes, right? Exactly.
So I would always tell them this is not for you. But if you're an adult learner, let's say you're 40, 30, 20, have kids and you can't go and be in class at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and all the random times that universities have classes, you need something doable. It's 6-week classes. It's in the evenings or it's online. So it's doable for someone who cannot do this full time. So that's what I think I like about those options. But yeah, so he couldn't just, be on CSUN's campus, run around campus, right? So it was twice a week for 3 hours for 6. So it was attainable. So yeah, he paid for his friends.
I love that. That's so cool. Friends. Shaq is always doing cool stuff.
Yeah, and I wonder if a big part of he's a top-notch businessman. That man owns everything. A lot more than we even realize. And I wonder if the program is kind of what helped him, if that's why he did it, because he felt like he wanted to know more about business. He wanted to know more about the workings of business.
Most likely. I think so.
Because because you could tell he knows what he's doing. You could tell his wealth and investments aren't just he has an advisor telling him what to do.
Yeah, he's in his business.
Because you could tell when he talks about it, he knows. He was on some podcast and they were calling him out on his Shaq sneakers and how the guy was I got teased for ruining your sneakers.
Yeah.
Funny Marco.
Yeah.
And Shaq was my sneakers are made at the same place that Jordans are made. And he knew everything about the dang sneaker. Right. So you can tell he's not just investing money.
Right. It's like it's not a cheap sneaker. It is a cost effective sneaker. Right. There's a difference.
But you could just tell that he knew his business. And that was just one of his businesses. So it's not like he's just sending money and then people are doing for him. Like he knows his stuff. So
I love that.
I respect Shaq for that. Natalie Portman.
Okay.
Went to Harvard. James Franco has a couple degrees from Yale and Columbia.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg went to Cal State Long Beach. Eva Longoria went to CSUN.
Okay.
I actually saw her on campus. She was there when we were there.
There's a bunch of celebrities' kids that go to CSUN.
Yeah, but Eva was there when we were there. I saw her twice.
Oh, okay, cool.
She was in the School of Business.
Oh, that's nice.
Tyra Banks went to Harvard.
I don't think she went to full Harvard. I think she went
to business school.
I think there's an online program that a couple of celebrities did for Harvard. I think she was one of those. But at least
it wasn't honorary. She did some classes.
Yeah, she did something. She studied.
Like she took some, it's not like I don't know if I quite
assignments.
The honorary ones are nice, but you didn't go through the struggle. You didn't have to meet the finals deadline.
Why did you get paid for those?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I heard Charlamagne. Well, maybe that was DJ Envy lying. He said Charlamagne paid for his honorary degree, but he could be lying. I don't know.
I don't doubt it.
Okay.
I don't doubt it. But yeah, so it can be worth it because it's more about the education. And if the money is the only reason you're not doing it, there's ways around that.
There are.
So career path. Is the degree enough? No, I think you definitely usually need more. If it's not more education, it's more you educating yourself.
A degree is never enough to get a job. You need skills.
you need to be a good interviewer. There's a lot that you have to do. You need a good resume. You need to know people.
Correct.
So no, the degree is not just means you're going to get a job. Yeah. Don't let them.
Right. Don't let them fool you like they got us. They got us. Okay.
I really thought like there's gonna be jobs knocking at the door.
It's like, and then they want to call us entitled. We wouldn't have this entitlement if y'all wasn't lying,
making promises. But there's also a mental health and wellness part that I think a lot of people ignore. I worked my job when I was getting my master's degree in counseling. I worked in a university. And a lot of students were struggling. We had one student take her life. No. And it was really unexpected. And she was like, it was very unexpected, but it was just too much, right? The stress and the anxiety of it was too much. And she just couldn't do it. And so I don't know if the generation under us, they're more emotionally open. Maybe that's the word. So a lot of things impact them a little bit heavier. Than they impacted us. I feel like I grew up with baby boomer parents. I grew up just seeing a lot. So I feel like we kind of have secondhand trauma from what our parents went through. So we're a little bit calloused. Our generation was to a lot of things. Well, this generation doesn't quite have that. So college can be very emotionally draining for them.
It can be and anxiety inducing. It is for sure anxiety inducing. But I think for me, I'm learning that anxiety is a feeling and you can control that.
You can.
So don't just succumb to it.
No. Figuring out how to cope with it, figuring out how to manage it, figuring out how to balance, is this the end of the world or not? And knowing how to check that. And so, no, college can be rough. I know a lot of friends. I even have friends in college who were suicidal. I have friends in college who were depressed and crying and dropped out because of that. So it can be a lot. I have a cousin in medical school right now, and I can tell that he's stressed. I can tell that he's anxious. I can tell that his wellness is struggling.
Yes. I've seen some people's wellness fall apart when they over there got to defend their dissertation.
Oh yes.
Oh Lord, that is a tough time.
Yeah, because it feels like the end of the world. Although your practical mind knows it's not. The pressure. It feels like it. It definitely feels like it. You don't want to be a failure. You don't want to let people down. There's a lot that goes into that. But it can be a lot. So it's also important to keep a tab on your friends. Cause I think we're in college, we're not thinking about our friends being depressed, but keep an eye out for your friends. If you feel like they're going too far left or right, or you could tell that they're having highs and lows emotionally. A lot of people also show symptoms of mental illness during that age group is when things start to manifest.
Okay.
So like bipolar, schizophrenia, all those things start to surface in your 20s.
Really?
Yes. So that's a lot also to be thinking about. I had a friend, I went to school in Miami. I had a classmate. She was a lawyer. She was really, really bright, really, really smart. If you look her up now, she has a series of mugshots. She went through a schizophrenic breakdown right after we graduated. And no one saw it coming, but she was in that age group of where those things kind of manifest.
I had no idea.
Also, trying certain substances trigger things that would have stayed dormant, not being dormant. So that's also something to think about. Like if your family has a history of any type of mental illness, it could be genetically in your body and dormant. And certain substances can trigger that. So I learned that in college when I was getting my master's. So a lot happens in college to our brains, especially people doing mushrooms, this and that and this and that. It triggers a part of your brain. It does open up your brain. People say that.
It does. Yeah.
Right? But some things you don't want to open.
Right. Some things you need to say closed.
Right.
The door is closed.
So some stuff that you open, you cannot close.
Yeah.
People drink more in college. So a lot of people struggle with alcoholism. Some of us can drink a drink, never drink again. Other people, they awaken an addiction in their bodies that follows them into the rest of their lives. So a lot of things happen in college as far as wellness and mental illness and things like that I think we don't think about because it didn't happen to you, but it's happening to a lot of your classmates. So be mindful of that.
Yeah, that's some good. I learned something new today.
Don't go too wild.
Like, don't get too wild because you may not come back.
It might trinkle like the reader. Is it better? Well, if you awaken something, it might not be better after college, right? So that's something to think about.
All right, don't awake the sleeping giants.
Don't.
Okay, what's next?
Relationships and social life.
Okay, so this is something that we talked about. That was one of the best things that came out of college is our friendships. Like we went to college. Years later, we have a podcast now. Like that's amazing. And having those connections is really great.
Yeah. And then like side hustles, entrepreneurship, right? So there's a lot of recent graduates probably started maybe around our age group where people are like, I need to be doing more, right? I can't just be doing this. I want to start my own thing. So a lot of people are choosing entrepreneurship over
going to school. Yeah.
Like even if they go to school, when they're graduating, they're using that education for themselves. Some people aren't taking their degrees and then applying for a job. Some people are getting their degrees so that they know more. And then they're going and starting tech companies and whatever type of company they want to start. So that's a cool thing is like you have more options as long as you work hard. So it says 29% of graduates start their own businesses within 3 years of graduating. And 50% of millennials have a side hustle.
Yes.
So that's definitely our generation.
We learned from, so when you get out of college, there will be no jobs, most likely. So you got to start your own thing, preferably in college. That's something I would say to create a bridge in between college and real life. Yeah. And that's start making money in college somehow that's not connected to a job.
Yeah. And I also think our generation saw our parents just work, make decent money. Some made less, some made more, but it didn't seem like they were enjoying their lives.
I remember, what I saw was that my aunts and people in my mom's generation, they were able to go to school, go get a degree and then get out and get a good paying job and retire from that job. Yeah. And I think that's the knowledge that was passed down to us without it being understood or fully comprehended that that's just not going to be the story for our generation.
But I feel like I saw at least my dad, he worked until retirement, but like he worked really, 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 really hard until he was 65, 70 years old at the same place most of that time.
Yeah, everybody that modeled something for us was worked at the same place for like 25, 30 years.
Yeah, and then he had us and took care of us and did church stuff, but he didn't he seems happy. He seems happy. Yeah, but when I look at that life, I'm like,
I feel like it comes from us being in a different generation, that part where it's like what's appealing to them is not appealing to us.
No, I want to travel. I want to see the world.
Right. Then they were like, I just want to go to work, make a good living and go home. You know what I'm saying? And go to my garage, drink a beer. Yeah. Like that's how things were.
Life was simpler for them.
It was much simpler. Now it's like
we want to go to Paris.
We have the internet. They didn't have the internet.
That's true.
We were the first generation to get introduced to the World Wide Web. Yeah. And so with that comes new desires and new ambitions.
We just want a different quality of life. Yeah. And also good paying for them is not good paying for, like, cost of living was cheaper back then. Yeah. Like my dad was the primary income, and he had 3 kids, and he put us through college, and we lived in a nice neighborhood.
You can get a nice house for like $75,000.
One income is a privilege nowadays. Yeah. You need at least 1.5. Most people,
exactly,
right? So yeah, it's just different. Things are more expensive, but the money is quite. So you kind of have to have a side hustle.
Yeah,
you kind of have to. But we want to give some tips for navigating life after college based on trying to avoid the potholes that we did not get to avoid.
Yeah, we did not. Like, so first of all, we didn't even get into like what our actual experience was after college. So before we get into the tips for navigating, these are like coming from, for at least for me, things I wish I did while I was in college to help me on my way out. Because I was unemployed for almost a year out of college. I was on unemployment. I was depressed. I was hospitalized because I was going through some health issues, and it was definitely exasperated by the stress. I'm a type of like go-getter type of person, and I'm at that point, since my very first job, I had never been without a job that I didn't try to get. So I didn't know how to handle rejection. I didn't understand the tides of economic tides. I didn't understand that. So it was devastating for me, and I just felt like a failure. My belief in God was completely challenged because I had this idea of what if you do this, then this is supposed to happen. Yeah, and it just wasn't happening. I was really, really like a ship without a sail. I was lost.
Yeah. My experience, I did a lot of things that I was supposed to do in college, right? Like I had an internship every year from freshman year. I had 4 years of an internship. Awesome. I was a part of, I was a part of this program called Inroads, still around. Yeah. But they helped students of color get into Fortune 500 companies, and you got paid internships every year until you graduated. And the idea,
I should have been hanging out with you.
Listen, you were partying. I'm just kidding. But the idea behind Inroads was like they trained you. So like it was only summer internships, and then sometimes I did spring break. But we would also get trained by Inroads in between there. So we would do a whole summer symposium where they were training us on professionalism, workplace this, workplace that. This is what you do. So that we were showing up in the best way. Because we represented them. Right. And then we also had an Inroads mentor who, while we're in our internship, if we had challenges or I don't know how to do this email, they would help us. So it was great. So I interned at Panda Restaurant Group, which is the corporate office for Panda Express. I was in their public relations department and their menu and promotions department. I was there 4 years. I did a lot of things. And it was an amazing experience. Amazing experience. I got to do a lot of things, experience a lot of things. I think that was my first taste of corporate world because they treated me like a regular employee. They didn't treat me like an intern. Most people didn't even know I was an intern. They treated me like one of the regular employees, which I don't know if that was good. I wasn't getting paid. Like what? Anyway, but it was a paid internship because back then I think I was making like $20 an hour.
Oh, that's good.
It started at 18. I ended up at 20. So it paid.
That's not bad for our time.
Yeah, it paid well. And during the summer I would get 40 hours. I was working 40 hours in the summer, and then spring break I did 40 hours. It was great. So I did that 4 years, and then when I was at school I worked at the USU.
Okay, yeah.
So I was a marketing assistant at the USU for 4 years. And then my senior year, I got an internship at NBC Universal through a connection. So I interned at NBC. So I had a lot of internships.
You had a lot of a lot of experience.
A lot. So
why did you struggle?
Right?
Why were you struggling?
So I just knew I was going to get
I didn't go to nobody's job fair. I never went to the career center. I didn't do any of that. And I was struggling. Resume. I was on a struggle bus.
I think it was just a recession. I just knew I was going to get a job. I was like, I've done my resume was packed.
Wow.
Okay? And I just knew I was going to get a job. And the first 3 months out of school, I stayed at the internship at NBC. I took that internship right before I graduated. So I stayed there, interned with them, and they passed this new law that they had to pay you. If they're going to use anything that you produce, they had to pay you. My department at NBC didn't have any money, right? So I was then unemployed. I did have this opportunity for this job. There's this pizza spot called Pizza Rev that was right by CSUN, and the manager lived in my apartment building. And so I pitched to him. It was new. They only had one location at the time. I pitched to him that I wanted to be his marketing manager, and I had the whole presentation. And he was so impressed by me, but the company was new. They were broke. And he was like, you can have whatever title you want. You can run the marketing and our social media and everything. But he was like, we don't have an office for you, so you'll be remote. I didn't know that was a thing back then that you wanted.
I mean, first of all, that sounds great. But then when you're fresh out of college, you're like, you have this idea of what work is.
Girl.
Yeah.
So I would have to be remote. I would have to use my own computer, my own car. I would have no budget for nothing. But I got whatever title I wanted. As the company grew, I would be growing with
that sounds like a dream opportunity.
I would be a mogul right now,
girl. And you said no?
Yes, because
how much were they going to pay you?
I think it was cheap. It was like no money. It was like $13 an hour.
Okay, right? Yeah.
But it was opportunity.
Man, right? I would have jumped on that like hotcakes.
In hindsight, yeah. But like I really wanted the job. But at the same time, I was offered a temp job at NBC.
Okay.
It wasn't doing anything. I think I was in like the real estate department, being a front desk girl. Like they're paying me maybe $15 an hour. And my parents are like, NBC's better. You know, like go for NBC because it's NBC, right? And they'll give you a job. And I was like, but this place, I can like do my own thing. And I didn't. And I still regret that to this day. That was one opportunity that I was like, you should have trusted your gut.
Yeah.
Because I wanted it. I pitched it. But
I would. If I was like, I would be like, first of all, why did you go through all this if you was going to say no?
Right. I pitched it. And then my parents were like, no, you need to.
What did you tell them when you said no?
I said, I can't afford to, only get paid that much. You know what I mean?
People who do marketing, they make a lot of money.
Listen, girl. It's one of those regrets in life. Like I wish I had bet on myself.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
I wish I had bet on myself. But
yes, and that's another thing. Like if you don't hear this from anybody else, bet on yourself, invest in yourself, especially after college.
Because the thing is, even if I had failed, I would have failed at trying something that I wanted to do.
Yes, and you were only like 20, whatever.
Yes, and it's more. And at the time, I was still living at home. I didn't have no bills.
Yes,
I had no car note. I also had my daddy's health insurance. So if I had any opportunity,
it was the perfect time.
Yeah, but I went to NBC and I stayed there for like a lot of years. I was at NBC for 2 years. They never gave me full. I was always a temp because they didn't have the budget to give me anything that was like permanent.
Right,
and it was so competitive to get a job there. It was really, really hard. So I was at NBC for a lot of years, like 3 years. And then I ended up at University of Phoenix and whatever. And the pay gap ended up being fine, but I still was like, man, I wish I had done that because that's what I wanted to do.
What are they doing now? Pizza Rev.
They're a big company.
Man.
And it's funny because after I turned it down, the guy understood. I ended up getting my homeboy a job there. He was a graphic designer.
Nice.
So I connected him with the manager, got him a job there, and then he's some like big league now. Yes,
oh my God.
From working there. Yeah. We message all the time. He's just like, thank you again. Could you put me on? And I was like,
Pizza Rev, come full circle moment. Let's work together.
But yeah, it was a hot mess. But anyway, so that's where my struggle came. Because like, although I had all the resume, like getting a full-time job when we graduated was just really hard. And so it was really hard. So I didn't get my first real full-time with health insurance and good pay until University of Phoenix. But they did pay me a lot back then. University of Phoenix paid me like 48, and this was a long time ago. And I had no bills, so I was balling. And then I ended up my next job getting paid more, and then I ended up dropping. My income dropped when I worked for that job that didn't pay me. So that joined the diss track. Buddy Shoe. Okay, so I went to the Buddy Shoe era, and so after him, I took whatever. Nuts. Girl, I took whatever job, and that was a lower income. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be broke, I'm going to be broke doing what I love. So I quit everything, went to grad school to become a therapist, and then now I'm here.
Okay. So, after college, after that year, I did get I got a temporary job at a, at a charter school.
Okay.
Saw some famous people because it was in the Valley. Oh. Like, where was it? I forgot.
Sherman Oaks?
No, not Sherman Oaks. It was someplace like near Calabasas.
Okay.
So got that, and then I what happened after that? Oh, I interned at Hope's House for a little bit with Tony.
I interned with Tony. Shout out to Tony.
Shout out to Tony. Yes.
Actually, my first job at the USU, Tony gave it to me.
Okay, nice.
And then when I needed an internship for something, Tony hired me at Hope's House. Tony
comes through.
We love some Tony
definitely
Sherrill.
Supports the community.
Tony is like, he's somebody who I don't care where I'm at in life. If he ever calls me, I am answering. Period. And whatever he wants. Like, because Tony has always looked out. Even before he even knew me, really, he looked out.
Yeah.
So he's just a really good person.
He really
we love
is.
you, Tony.
And Rashawn, love you too.
Oh my God, don't even get me started on Rashawn Sherrill. My God. But yeah, Tony hired me a few times. I used to tease him real bad and he still loved me. So I love you, Tony Sherelle.
Yes. So I think I got the charter school job and the internship at Hope Self at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I forgot what I had another job in between then. Oh, I also, do you know Rashanti?
Yeah.
She was working at Holt Look. Yeah, she was working at Holt Look and she connected me and I got a job there for a little bit.
Okay.
And then I moved to Texas. That's what happened.
I remember when you went to Texas.
Yeah, so I moved to Texas and then I got a job at a credit union. Okay. Which was awful. And then I got a job at the University of Texas.
Got it.
Yes, and that's where I stayed there for 5 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm. This is my current job that I'm in right now. Outside of when I was in college interning, this is the longest I've been in a company. I'm a hopper. Okay. I remember I had to explain that to an interviewer once. She was
I'm a hopper. I'm a job hopper.
You only stay places like a year and a half. Like, what's that about? And I said, well, I'm dedicated to my happiness. And she was like, that's literally what I said to her. I said, I am dedicated to my happiness.
It's like no one's doing that 10-year thing. Like no one's doing that.
But my current job, I love it. So I have no plans on leaving. Mm-hmm. But my other jobs, I didn't love it. Mm-hmm. I didn't love it. And it was, and I never left on bad terms. All those jobs would give me a referral. I was never fired. I never left because of my poor performance, but I left because I felt like they're either underpaying me and overworking me, or I was overqualified for what I was doing, or the environment was just toxic. And I was stressed. Mm-hmm. And my whole thing, I'm not going to come to work every day and already I'd be here for 40 hours and you going to stress me out?
Right.
No. So I remember telling her that. And she I remember when I got the job, they said she championed for me the most.
Oh,
and she was scary. That. And I was like, this woman, because no one ever had noticed that before. And she was like, you're dedicated to your happiness. I'm like, 100%.
I love that.
So if I'm not happy, I tell you, I'm not going to just be unhappy for and then complain about it for 20 years. No.
Exactly.
If I'm unhappy, I've got about 6 months to change it. If it don't change in 6 months,
I'm out.
Plotting my exit. So yeah, but this job I am right now, I love it. So I don't have any plans on leaving.
I love that. I guess so you see it being a 10-year thing plus.
I don't know if I want to work for another 10 years.
Exactly.
But if I am working, I would stay here. But I'm trying to retire.
Exactly.
Now, once again, one of those things I have no idea how.
Listen, you don't have to know the how. It's like this is the what. This is what I want to do. It's all right. It's all right.
Something's gonna happen.
I said when I was working at university, I said I wanted to be a full-time entrepreneur in 2 years. 2 years later, I was a full-time entrepreneur.
I speak it. So that's the era that I'm in. I don't quite know how I'm going to not pay those loans back. I don't even know how I'm going to be retired in 10 years. I don't know.
But that's what we're going to put in the atmosphere.
But it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Something's going to happen. We could wake up tomorrow and it could be a whole different day.
A whole new day. So let's see.
Yeah. So those are our journeys after college. Yes. So here are tips for how can you navigate if you're on the brink of almost being done.
Yes.
Or maybe you're not even in college. Maybe you're just like, I exited college 5 years ago. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Right.
So that was me for a bit.
5 years ago? What do you mean?
Like maybe they're not recent graduates. Maybe they graduated.
Oh yeah, for a long time ago.
5 ago, maybe 3 ago, and you're still like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How do I get on a path?
Right. It's like you're just like roaming.
Because your 20s can feel like the wilderness. Of what am I doing?
I mean, it is a wilderness. So let's not even talk about the dating wilderness. We're gonna have to do an episode on dating. Because that was also like 20s is it's fun, but it's rough.
You don't know what's happening and who you are.
Right.
That's what's going on most of your time.
It's like it wasn't until I got a little past 30 where I was like, okay, so I'm oriented now.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is embracing the learning curve. Mm-hmm. Just because you graduate doesn't mean that you're going to stop and know everything. And that
period. You don't know.
You have everything figured out.
Come out of college thinking you don't know a damn thing.
You don't.
That's where you start.
Yes. Find a mentor. Find someone who's doing what you want to do, who can give you some direction. And if you go on that path and you're like, I don't want to do this, turn around and go another way. Like, don't be afraid to start over because you're figuring things out.
Exactly.
And, just don't take yourself too seriously and try to enjoy the journey as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Try to fill your life with a little bit of joy. Don't be so stressed to try to be, quote unquote, anything that you see on social media. Okay.
Yes.
Most people are only posting their highlight reels. They have hard days too. Mm-hmm. Maybe those highlight reels are probably fake. Right. So be aware of that.
Like sometimes there's been times where I had to get on this podcast and put a smile on, even though I didn't want to.
Today was a day.
Yes. Okay. Listen.
I think we got like 3 bipolar voice notes. Okay. First one was like, I can't. The other one was like, all right, I'm coming. So might be a journey, and it's okay. Like, don't compare yourself to anyone's highlight reel.
Right.
Network. Like we talked about.
So networking. That means getting into some clubs,
professional groups,
right? Going to whatever type of events you can that you feel like fit your vibe.
Talking to people, being kind.
Yes, and I know this. So for those who are like more antisocial, fine. I'm sure by now there's probably some internet groups that you could chat with from people from your school.
So many
or
Facebook
whatever.
groups, and people are really nice on those Facebook groups. Believe it or not, like new to Houston or professional women looking for friends. Like, there's a lot of groups like that.
Also, there's like a lot of, when you're in a college town specifically, there's a lot of hangout spots around where they have events and things for students. Any place where there is free food, that's a time to network. Because there's always free food on campus.
My biggest tip on networking, because I think I do it really, really well. I know a lot of people who do a lot of things, who will do a lot of those things for me. And I'm blessed to have that. But I think because I don't network in a way to where I'm just like, what can they do for me?
Yeah.
I network, what can I do for you?
Right.
I'm always still figuring out how I can help people be better. How can I connect you with somebody? How do I will be at a lounge and a guy will be trying to holler at me and he tells me he does something. I'll be like, well, my friend's looking for a job in that. Can you refer her? I'll give you my number if you refer her. Like, I am that person. Okay.
Yes.
Trudy and Mika would tell you, like, I've been like out and a guy trying to hit on me. I'm like, what do? You work for where? They hiring? Like, I am quick.
It's like, we all need a job.
I'm just
a squirrel trying to get
Give
in
me
there.
your email. Like, I am that person. And it's more because I really want my people to do well. And I feel like when you're just showing up in relationships, being sincere and willing to do for people, even before they do for you, then they're more likely to be willing to do for you.
Yeah.
So if you're going to networking, like, what can you do for me? What do you do?
Yeah. Don't do that.
It's going to be off-putting. You're not going to get the results that you want.
Right.
You know, even my job that I have right now, I got it from a friend from church who I never knew when I met her and was being nice to her that she would help me get a job 10 years later.
That's nice.
I had no idea. Like, I wasn't nice to her thinking one day she's going to be able to help me do something. You don't think about that. You're just being a nice person. You just build a
community. It's like, it's going into it, building a community, not just what can I take from this person.
Yeah, and being around people who are doing something. Even if you don't, whatever they're doing does not impact you, it should inspire you, and that's still helpful.
Right. Do more than partying. If your friend is only partying, then you need to add some friends to your to your sphere.
All you guys do, you guys are never like brainstorming or helping each other with your goals and your gifts. That's not a group that's going to help you grow. Right. So you have to maybe have different circles. You have your party friends and your let me grow my life friends, but just be a good person and people will see your goodness and want to hire you. Yes. Find you a Tony Sherrill.
Exactly.
We love you, Tony.
Yes.
But someone who's older than you, who has a care for your success. Right. So definitely do that.
Mentors.
Yeah.
Get connected with the professors you vibe with. Get close to them, and keep that connection throughout your adulthood if you can, because that helps go a long way in
building a community, being a good person, not going into about what can you do for me. All that energy, it doesn't breed authenticity, and so people might not want to help you. Right. So that's not great networking. Be flexible and open-minded. So maybe it's not your dream job, the first job that you're offered. Like maybe it's like if you're, I don't know, a marketing person, maybe your first job is not going to be a marketing manager, right? But maybe it'll be like, well, I'm trying to get into this company. Maybe I'll just start as like an assistant or an intern or apprentice. Sometimes you just have to get in the door. Yes. So your first job, I've noticed that with freshmen, because I worked with freshmen in one of my jobs recently, and they would turn down jobs like, well, this is not paying enough. And this is
that was definitely me. I turned down a lot. Well, I did turn down internships after college because I was like, I just need to get paid. But I wasn't getting paid anyway, so I could have been getting experience and making connections.
Because that sometimes is very valuable. And if you can afford to just take the job until you find another job. Right. Because sometimes it's easier to get a job when you have a job. Right. So don't turn your nose up at entry level something because you are entry level. You might think that you're the ish, and you might be, but there's levels to the ish. So you might not be beyond. You might not. Once you get to that world, you might be like, oh man.
You might be at level 1.5 ish, not level 5 ish.
Right.
Okay.
So
know your ish.
Don't do that. Prioritize mental health.
I want to back up before I get there. Create, and so something that is really important to do right now. We are in a turn of a century. currently. And so the traditional jobs they're not going to look the way they do in 5-10 years from now. And something that is more valuable than a traditional job at this point is carving out some internet real estate. So what that looks like is making an internet community for yourself. Whatever you're doing. So it could be like, well, I don't have anything to talk about on the internet. I don't want to start a YouTube channel. It's like, figure out what your story is. I wrote here, the job market is completely changing right now with AI on the loose. So that's why we have to be thinking this way.
Yeah.
And it's more important than ever to build a fan base. Start with documenting your personal growth and development or some sort of journey that you're on. That could be on LinkedIn. That could be on Facebook. That could be anywhere. Start creating content so you can create a community.
That's good.
Because think of it as a side hustle. That is the thing that's going to get you get your DNA basically in the internet world.
You have to become, if AI can do your job isn't safe. But when it comes to you being a person and you being an influencer, that's something AI cannot do.
Correct. That is your journey, your personal growth, your personal development can be used to share your story, and it can be monetized. So it doesn't matter how old you are. This is something you need to be thinking about right now.
That's the cool thing I think about being an influencer is it doesn't have an age limit on it, right? Because it just depends on who you're marketing to. There's a whole community of people who are retiring in the next 5 years. That's a community of people who they'll watch people like them.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like most people who
if you're retiring, share that.
Yeah.
If you're traveling,
if you're estate planning, whatever you're doing,
it is, document that journey and share it. It does feel like things are oversaturated, but please do this, because with the trajectory of jobs right now, it's really going to be dependent. Your success is going to be dependent on what you do online.
Don't be afraid of technology either, because like we said, ignorance isn't always bliss. And although it can feel scary, at least educate yourself on what's going on, because it might help you when it comes to understanding how to be an influencer, what that looks like. Avoiding social media altogether and technology is not going, that's not going to just help it go away, right? So you have to educate yourself and try to understand as much as you can. Watch a YouTube video on it, right? Someone created a YouTube video teach you how not to avoid it. So anyway,
that also applies, like we said, to people who are an older generation, because I see people who are supposed to be retirement age 65 still having to work, have no ability to retire or anything like that. So that's something for you too.
Yeah. And retirement's going to look different for our generation.
Absolutely.
Anyway. So
prioritize mental health.
Yeah. I think because, they said millennials, we're the side hustle, we're the grind it, we're the wake up at 5 a.m., go to bed at 5 a.m. Like that's what we do. We have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 jobs. Like I know people who are like in careers, like full-time careers, also with a side hustle. Like they don't necessarily need it. That's just, it's weird not to have one, right? That's just our generation.
Right, because it's like it just doesn't make sense to depend on
one stream of anything.
For one employer.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we also are the generation that is struggling with depression.
Okay.
We have high numbers of anxiety. Almost everyone I know deals with anxiety.
Yeah.
Like anxiety attacks, racing hearts, things like that. I have friends who are having health issues and they're young. Like cholesterol. I had a cousin who had a heart attack. He's in his 30s.
Oh my God.
So our generation, although we are hustlers, we are not being mindful. Although we have more resources and we talk about the health stuff and we're on this diet and that diet and we are not really managing our mental health and our anxiety and the stress, because we don't think it's that serious, but stress will kill you.
Right. But so this is something I would like to bring a professional on to talk about, really, is like how the different ways stress manifests in your body, because I feel like a lot of people don't know that they know there's stressful things happening around them, but they don't feel stressed. So then you don't know how that shows up in your body. Yeah.
And the thing is, even if you get blood work, you can see it. Like my blood work said that I was stressed. And that's when I realized oh, you're stressed. Right. So finding a nutritionist, like the one that we go to, who can sit and talk to you like, hey, your cortisol levels are ridiculous. That's stress. That's what cortisol is, stress. So figure that out, because it can kill you. And I think we underestimate what anxiety and stress can do to us because we're grinding and we don't sleep enough. And then we're going to go out and have happy hour. Like we're doing the most.
Right. We're finding other coping mechanisms, happy hour and other things.
Yeah. Other things. But yeah, we talked about continuing personal development, always growing. We talked about setting realistic goals, managing your finances. That's something that's newer to me. Although at my big age, the last 4 months, the first time I actually had a real budget. Like an actual like spreadsheet. I used to just budget in my head.
Okay.
Like I'd be like, oh, I got this much, or the card worked. I guess that means I can afford it.
Have you used, the budgeting thing that I like? I know sponsorship, and I actually don't agree with everything that he talks about. But his Dave Ramsey,
I have a couple of his books.
He has a platform called Every Dollar.
I've seen that.
Super easy to use.
Okay.
I've tried to use a lot of different budgeting tools like YNAB and Mint, but Every Dollar is the easiest.
Really good. I'll check it out. I just have I paid for some lady advertised she was doing a budget spreadsheet.
Oh yeah.
And I just paid for it. I just fill in my budget, but it's his more like
it's automated. Yeah, it's automated.
Okay, I'll check it out. Because I actually have 2 or 3 of his books. I love Dave Ramsey. He's a little extreme for me.
He's so extreme. Like outside of his debt paying off principles, I do understand to a degree.
I get it. I think his stuff works. It's just real intense.
Some of the stuff is like this doesn't really I don't think it should apply all across the board. Like that cash only thing. Yes. I don't think that makes any sense.
Or like you never go out to eat. Like until your debt's paid off. That could be years.
Right. And like or like you pay everything in cash, your house and stuff like that. That would and from your generation when you're able to go to work and get a job and buy a house, you cannot do that now.
Right. So I don't think what he's saying is wrong. It just isn't always realistically attainable for me.
Right. For many people. Many people.
But budgeting is important. Knowing what's going on. Like we said, ignorance isn't bliss when it comes to budgeting because you'll still end up overwhelmed. Okay. Building a support system we talked about. Community. Friends who can hold you accountable and also love on you and pray with you when you're stressed out. It means the world. Or have fun with you when you need a day to go have fun. And then staying positive. Like have your moment. I'm huge on I'll have my moment, but I won't let my moment become a day. I'd be like, I'm having a stressful day. I'm gonna have this hour. I'm gonna feel these feelings, but I'm gonna move on. Right. Because it will become depression very quickly.
Yes. Remember that. Don't let it spiral. Like this will pass. This is a temporary feeling. This is a temporary moment in life. Yeah. Yep.
So try your best. I'm not saying you have to act like stuff isn't happening. Figure out how long you need to feel it. If you're like, I need a whole day. Okay, take your whole day, but don't let that become 2 days.
Exactly.
Right? Figure out how to get yourself up and keep pushing. Figure out how to build a plan. Don't make a whole lot of excuses. Figure out how to speak life into yourself and make those words actions.
Right. Don't give up on hope.
Yeah. Hope matters. Faith matters. Also have your little cry. Crying helps.
Right.
But then,
exactly.
keep it positive.
Go vent and just go to sleep.
Yeah.
And wake up from a nap or from the next morning. Listen, if I'm having a really bad time, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop making decisions today and I'm going to sleep.
That's real.
I need to shut my brain off. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. I actually preserve pizza and ice cream for those days. Okay. I don't have pizza and ice cream on happy days.
Okay.
Because I know I'm going to want it when I'm not having a good day. So if I already had it, I'm going to feel bad. So when I'm having one of those days, I'm like, this is a couch, Netflix, pizza, ice cream day.
I'm the opposite. I can't have that be a coping mechanism for me. Yeah, like every time I'm sad, I'll be having pizza all the time.
Oh, no.
I was like, no, I like this. I use it, but I also have a lot of reasons to celebrate. So
yeah. And sometimes you have to keep a list of that. I told one of my friends this because she'd be forgetting. Like God be showing up for her and she'd be forgetting. Ooh. And girl. And I'd be like, girl, didn't he just? Oh yeah, girl.
It's like, yes. It's like how soon we forget.
So soon. So keep a list. Sometimes you need that list.
That is something that I feel like is more helpful than pizza for me. Is when God has to remind me, like, do you remember A, B, C, and D? I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right.
You're right. So
I was fine then, and I'll be fine now.
And I think I might actually do this. I tell other people to do it. And I told clients to do it. But I haven't done it. Get a mason jar, and when something amazing happens, big, small, medium, large. Write it out in detail. What happened and how excited you. Do it when you're excited in the moment. Because that's when they will really be real. Put that in the mason jar. When you're having a bad day, randomly pull that junk out. Oh yeah.
Ooh, that's so good.
Oh yeah, that did happen. Make you a joy mason jar. So
a joy jar.
A joy jar. So when you're having a bad day, you can pull out a reminder. Like,
let's put one right here. So when we come in on our shooting days, we'll put it in here.
We're gonna do that.
Excited.
We're gonna do that. So like, even if it's like I found $5 in my pocket when I was going through the laundry. Hey, that be making my day. So things like whatever it is.
They'll give me an ice cream.
Put that in the joy jar, okay? Because we need that encouragement, especially to get through adulting after college.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's jump to things we wish we knew.
Okay. So for me, I wish I knew to truly follow my heart, and the rest will follow.
That's good. I wish I understood money and debt better. Like if I were to go back to freshman Crystal, I wish I understood how it all worked.
Yeah.
And how it would impact me at 35-year-old Crystal.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking about Crystal today.
No.
I was only thinking about Crystal in that moment, who wanted that, whatever. Right? So I wish I understood money. I wish I understood debt. I wish I understood my first credit card as a freshman and what that meant, that someone got to pay this back.
Okay. I'm gonna save my money I wish I knew for the time I'm in right now.
I just wish I knew. But anyway,
I feel you.
We want to always remind you guys to stay happy, take care of your mental health, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Go ahead and subscribe.
Go ahead and do that subscribe button. Just go ahead and press that real good.
Go ahead and press that.
Make sure you also hit the bell so you know when we're notified when we post on Thursdays.
Yes. Comment, share. Listen to us on Apple Music, all the platforms. Gigglesandgoals.com will show you the list of places to find us. You can find us on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces.
Yes.
But you also can listen while you're working out, you're at the gym, you're in the car, wherever. And we're not just for entrepreneurs, we're for anyone who's out here trying to build their lives.
Yes,
and
personal
do it well.
and professional development.
Yes.
That is what we champion.
Yeah, and actually on this journey of being with you guys, I have a new journey that I am brainstorming out that Leonie doesn't even know about yet.
What is it?
But hopefully in like 4 episodes, I will be able to tell you guys more about it.
First of all, I don't like this. Why haven't you? I don't like that. I tell
like
you everything.
Ago. Okay. It just happened 2 days ago.
She's about to get punched. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It literally happened 2 days ago. I haven't even fleshed it out. So I can't tell you guys
that's fine. I tell you all my raw ideas.
Oh, I'm not telling them. I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, you guys will find out in a couple episodes, but I'm really excited about it. So hopefully it'll be a resource that you guys can utilize.
I'm so excited. Okay.
We love y'all. Bye.
Bye.